Okay, now let us see about the vertical and horizontal health programs. So as we know, health service delivery can be just reached to the target population either vertically or horizontally. Okay, either vertically or horizontal. So these both horizontal and vertical are the form of health delivery systems for the target population, or for the community, or for the population who need our services. Okay, so but the time at which we use the vertical health programs and the horizontal health programs might be just different. That does not mean the two programs are mutually exclusive. Okay, so they are not mutually exclusive. So vertical health programs, most of the time, it is selective or targeted of a specific intervention or a specific groups. Program is attain or try to attain eradicating of a single disease either via vaccination or disease specific campaign. Okay, disease specific campaign. So it is highly interested by the donors. Okay, so usually donors they are highly interested on the vertical aid programs because the results it has quick results. Okay, so quick results will be obtained. So that's why external donors usually highly attracted by these vertical aid programs, and it can be one of the problems regarding the vertical aid program is dual reporting. So we need to report both the finance as well as the technical reports for the donors as well as for the government bodies. Okay, so this is also, but the result is a swift or rapid response will be obtained, and it stays for short period of time. Okay, it stays for short period of time, and that means it will not be just sustained. Okay, there is a problem of sustainability. So if an individual want a quick result, and if an individual wants to eradicate specific problems, so it is better to use the vertical aid programs rather than the horizontal. Okay, so vertical aid programs helps us just to eradicate or to prevent or to reduce the prevalence, the high prevalence of a specific disease. So the horizontal aid program, when you see the horizontal aid program, it is just like that of the vertical aid program. It is a type of health service delivery which is delivered through the public finance health systems. So this is comprehensive. Why comprehensive? It includes all the things. It does not act or it doesn't intervene on specific disease or specific intervention. Okay, so it is a comprehensive. It is inclusive. Okay, inclusive. Or the curative and the preventive aspect of the services can be just go together. Okay, so in general, when an individual want to build the healthcare system, it is better to use the horizontal. When an individual want to sustain that services, it's better to use the horizontal health program. Okay, and single reporting is here. So usually, because as I said before, the finance usually comes from the government, and there is a single report. We can report directly for the government body. And the best, and it is usually one of the advantage of the horizontal program is it is sustainability. Okay, sustainability. And the other is One Health approach. So what is One Health? What's One Health? First of all, we need to see. This One Health is a new concept, a new idea, a new initiative, which is usually focused on the cooperation or a collaborative efforts of the human health, the veterinary health, and the environmental health communities. So it is the collaboration, the interdisciplinary or the intersectoral approach between the animal, the human, and the environment. So why we are just concerned on the One Health? What is the most important of the collaboration of 1,461 diseases that has just now recognized in humans? Almost 60% of these existing human infections, they are zoonotic. That means they are transmitted from animal to humans. So if we work collaboratively with the veterinary health, so at least we can minimize the 60% of the diseases. Okay, 60% of the diseases can be minimized, and almost 75%. Okay, almost 3/4 of these emerging and newly emerging or re-emerging infectious diseases are human that has been occurred in humans are animal in origins. So we can also take an example for the coronavirus. This coronavirus that has been just first identified in Hubei states or one city of the China. So where 11 million dependent on sea foods, okay, sea animal food. So the assumption or the estimate or the hypothesis of the way of the transmission is due to that of the bats. But there is also another problem, another assumption. But usually we can say that coronavirus could also be transferred or transmitted from animal to the humans. Okay, so the importance of One Health is just to minimize, to prevent, just to eliminate, to reduce the infectious diseases that can be transmitted from animal to the humans. And nearly 8 out of 10 or 80% of microbial agents used by biotoxins could also be zoonotic origins. Okay, zoonotic origins. For example, as I said before, anthrax is also, it is zoonotic. Cattle, what we call it a basanga in Oromic. So nearly these all are the problems. So in order to mitigate, in order to alleviate the health outcomes, so this collaboration or cooperation effect has been just initiated. So this One Health program could also be initiated or launched in Ethiopia. Okay, so this will result this collaboration, the animal, the veterinary, and the environmental health collaboration will produce the optimal health outcomes. Okay, that means what we need. Okay, what we need, the ideal health will be resulted or obtained for both animal and the people will also be advantage. Okay, so the last chapter of our discussion were that of the public health ethics. Okay, the public health ethics. So as you know, what values means, value is the foundation, the base of a person's ability to judge between right and wrong. Okay, so most of us have different values. Okay, set. So this is the most important, or it is the identity where that can differentiate us from one individual to the other individual. So, for example, most of the students may want to complain. Okay, usually they complain. So, just being complaining or complaining is their value, might be. But another students may also argue with their complaint. So, don't complain. At least we have to examine. So, we need to evaluate ourselves. They said this like this, for example, on your exam. So I saw a number of comments on the Telegram page. So I really appreciate those students who said, so let us evaluate ourselves. So let us take the exam. Okay, so students who say like this, really I appreciate, but that does not mean I will discourage the one who didn't say, so we didn't took the exam. So I am not just blaming you, but yes, I am trying just telling you that the advantage of the values. Okay, so morality is also another thing. So morality is the factual system of beliefs and that emerge out of a person's core values. Okay, so usually if you have values, so that values can be also just emanated, or it can be just exported out, okay, from your internal emotion in terms of this morality. Okay, the values, the internal values can be just seen through your morality. So ethics means our moral in action. So ethics has narrower concept, narrow concept that of the morality. Okay, so morality can include the ethics. So it is the subset of morality and has narrower meanings and applications than morality. So so what does public health ethics? So public health ethics has concerns on ethics in the public health practice and ethics in the public health research. So during the public health practice, during the delivery of this health service, so we need to consider at least the 12 principles of the ethical practice of the public health. So what are the 12 principles? So it is better for you, so I leave for you just to read. Okay, so community, okay, when we say the community, so we need to follow the 12 principles. And the most common one is the ethics is the public health research. So while conducting research, so we need to attain these 4 principles of ethics. So the first one is the respect for person, what we call it autonomy. So autonomy is self-decision, okay, self-decision. So we need to decide by ourselves. So this principle aspires to protect the interests of human research participants from physical, psychological, and cultural harm. So I thought you will remember about the previous historical consequences that had been experienced in the humans. Okay, Tuskegee, for example, Tuskegee, the Tuskegee, and this is also one of the most problems at that time. And the Nazi, you remember what they did? Okay, what they did. So in order to without any without any autonomy. So previously, especially during the Nazi, so the physicians will manipulate the human, into different devastating problems by violating their human rights. Still, okay, they will violating their human rights. So but thanks to the Nuremberg, because at least the Nuremberg introduced this autonomy and informed consent. So one about the research, okay, the aim of the research. So that means autonomy is highly embedded in the informed consent process. That means informed consent or informed consent can explain briefly about the autonomy. So what are the informed consent? So there are components or elements of informed consent. The first one is competency, disclosure, understanding, voluntarism, confidentiality, and the consent. So competence means so we need to be sure that an individual is competent both in the mentally, whether that individual is competent or not. Okay, so because patients who are in the unconsciousness state, so they may not be competent. So in this time, so we need to consider problem could also be incompetent. So this is need to also be see. So because no one can manipulate individuals without the informed consent because of their mental capability, okay, mental incapability. And that the disclosure, all the information, okay, all the information, the aim of the research should have to be disclosed, should have to be just informed for the participants, okay, for the participants without any closure, okay, without any hidden. The whole information have to be provided or offered for the participants. Then they will choose or they will decide by themselves. So can I participate or not? So their participation could also be just voluntary without any enforcement. So that means during the disclosure, so can understand Amharic, English, Sidamia, Oromifa, the different others. Okay, so we need to provide the information based on their mother tongue, especially. Okay, just in order to understand. Okay, in order to inculcate that information. So after understanding, so they will decide just to participate. Okay, so voluntary. So no one should enforce the participants just to participate in their study. So the participation should be totally voluntary. Okay, so they need to participate voluntary. And confidentiality, which is the most important, okay, the most important concept is in the informed consent. So the information that we have obtained from the participant should not be just transferred to the third party without the consent of that individual. So we need to keep their information. Okay, so the information should not be transferred for the third party. So this it could be we can collect the confidentiality without taking the name, or without the information that we obtain from that individual should not explain about the status of that individual or participant. Okay. And the consent, finally, after all this process, so the individual will be just consented. So, do you participate in this or not? So, we'll ask him, and finally we'll last the informed consent process. So, respect for the person is very, very important. And the second one is beneficency. So, beneficency means balancing the risk and the benefits of the research is indispensable in the design and conduct of the research. So, we need to balance the risk and the benefits, okay? And the honest and the thorough risk benefit assessment must be performed. So here we don't have to inflict, we don't have to produce, we don't have to introduce any harm for the participants, okay, knowingly. So both the balance, as much as we can, we need to avoid the risk, okay, we need to minimize the risks that can be administered or that can be introduced into the participants, okay, we don't have to administer, so as much as we can. So this beneficency can be applied both during the design stage as well as during the research processes. So justice meaning fairness, okay, and equity, both in the distribution of the benefits and the burden of research to the participants. So here we need to fairly distribute. So distribute means does not mean equally distribute. So the one who were just marginalized or who were deprived should have to be out benefited highly, okay, just in order to cope up their previous damage or previous loss. So, and equity in the distribution of their benefits and the burden of the research to the participants who participated in the research should have to be benefited primarily, okay. So, study participants, for example, if you conduct a study in Hawassa city, and the participants were the Hawassa dwellers, but if you distribute the benefits for the Addis Ababa, so this is not fair. First, we need to distribute the benefit for Hawassa population because we did the research on Hawassa population. Okay, have you got me? Good. So here we need to be sure that as the recruitment procedure fair and impartial during the recruitment, during the selection, okay, during the selection of the study participants. So we need to be fair, okay, we need to be fair, and we need to be we don't have to be impartial. So partiality. So we don't have to be impartiality. So it must be impartial. Okay, it does not violate any human rights, and it does not violate any ethics of the research. And we need to also be sure that as the inclusion and the exclusion criteria are fair and appropriate, so every individual participant has the right just to participate on the study. Okay, it does not result any discrimination based on their sex, based on their religion, based on their ethnicity, based on their physical fitness. Okay, so no one should have to be excluded. Okay, this is unethical. So we need to also be sure that whether the inclusion and exclusion criteria are fair and appropriate. The last one is non-maleficence. Okay, so most of the time non-maleficence can also be just included in the beneficency by saying no inflicting no harm. So during the study, so you don't have to intentionally inflict, you don't have to intentionally introduce harm for the participants. Okay, so this is unethical. And the last but not the least one is the scientific misconduct in the public health research. So this is also the very interesting and the most important point regarding the ethics. So research misconduct means it could be the fabrication, or it could be falsification, or it could be plagiarism, or it could be violation of authorship rules. Okay, so authorship rules. So fabrication means inventing, typically with falsely, okay, fabrication, just fabricating or producing an information you may by sitting in your home Especially fabrication can be just conducted as a data collection. So the individuals or students may collect data by sitting their home or by sitting at their home. So they fill all the data questionnaires and they will give it to the supervisor. So this is automatically violate the principles of the ethics. Okay, this is just violating the law. So please don't try to fabricate. Okay, don't try to fabricate. At least just try to do by yourself whatever it is. Okay, whatever the sample it is. Okay, just being trustworthy is for yourself. Okay, being good is for yourself. So try to be yourself. So don't try to foolish yourself. Okay, fabricating means foolishing yourself. And the falsification means altering information or evidence so as to mislead. Okay, falsification most of the time. So if the result will not just can associate, for example, if you take the two results, that means the outcome of the disease and the exposure. So if the exposure does not associate with outcome of the disease, so most of the time the students or even the researchers may alter the information, or they may manipulate the information, and they make it just to associate, okay, to associate scientifically, statistically. So that means by altering the information, they collect the information appropriately here. Okay, they may collect information appropriately, but based on their judgment. For example, based on their judgment, if cigarette smoking, if we know that cigarette smoking is a risk factor for the development of the lung cancer, but if your result does not obtain such data, so you may manipulate it just to make it significant. Okay, just to make lung cancer associated with that of cigarette smoking. And the last one is plagiarism. So take plagiarism also the most common form of research misconduct. Almost all of the master students are also involved in plagiarism. This means taking the work or idea of someone else and passing it off as own. Okay, so this is also shameful. It is shame. It's very, very others work and talking as you are. So this is not scientifically, this is not humanly appropriate. So this is all about the presentation of the summary. So if you have any question, suggestion, comments, don't hesitate. Okay, don't hesitate, or just feel free and call me. I wish you all the good things. I wish you the exam to be as simple as licking a cake. Thank you very much.